It's our review of Melbourne taking on the Lions for the Drain Man. Drain problems, call the experts the Drain Man, the best analyst in football. How'd you see it?
I thought it was the best coaching performance that I've seen from Chris Fagan for a long time.
Right.
They've won some big games, and they've won bigger games. They've won finals. They've been on show and in the prime time spotlight for a couple of years now, there to win it, and right at the pointy end. But last night, I thought that the tactical brilliance that he showed, the first team that's put meaningful time into Christian Petrarca and what he brings post-stoppage. So he's there for the clearance, and if Melbourne don't win the ball, or they do, he tends to leak forward. We saw him do that against Port Adelaide and have great success. And Neil Bullen or one of those others will come up and assume his role as a midfielder and do the defensive actions, and he'll sneak forward and impact the game. Forward of centre is the best player in the comp. So to see them put a wingman to him at stoppages, time and time again, it was Berry, it was Fletcher, it was Archie, it was whoever was there would do the job. So big tick there tactically. Second thing that I think is the second thing that he did, I think, is he put Charlie Cameron further from goal than just out of the goal square, Charlie. And that had a big impact on the Talls, because it meant that Lever and May had to play on Hipwood and Danaher. So I thought that was great coaching. It's nothing remarkable, but it's just things that we hadn't seen before. And then the uncontested mark game, which I don't really like this style of footy, Cornsey, but I just think, the way that they set this game up, it forced Melbourne to play Brisbane's game rather than the other way around. So in the end, they brained them at stoppage. That first three quarters, they were plus 15 points. It was 10 scores to 4 from clearance, and it was game over.
Yep.
So it was simple as that for me.
How much do we overreact with Melbourne? And they spoke about the games that they've played in a short space of time, the 2 weeks in Adelaide, 3 games in 13 days, I think it was. But if this was, if this was the Western Bulldogs or Essendon, we'd be pretty scathing on that performance, just because they were smashed in every facet. Like, there was not really a positive that you could walk away from that game from Melbourne. But how much do we factor that in with their past performance this year? Because they've been going pretty well. Their win-loss would suggest they're going really well. The performance against Port Adelaide, maybe, they should have lost that. If you look at the numbers, Adelaide, we're not sure, what sort of side they are, and then they turned up and performed like that last night. So how much of a dent has it put in Melbourne's aspirations on how you see them?
Oh, well, you have to judge what you see. I mean, we can't be worried about what the brand is, what the jumper is. You've just got to judge what you see. And I said it before the break, most teams at the top of the tree at the moment have got some issues. Melbourne are not the full book yet without the footy. We talk a lot about, Lever and May, and sometimes we get consumed and the eye can tell you something and the numbers can tell you something else. They haven't been a great intercept team in terms of between the arcs so far this season. They haven't been the team that denies ball movement, D50 to inside 50 for the opposition, like they have been over the past 3 to 4 years this year. We're only a month in. They've stacked a couple of wins. They're in a good position. If they keep going at this ratio, they finish top 4 again. And that's all they're probably trying to do. But they're not. They're miles from where they've been. There's been better versions of Melbourne. And they are evolving, Cornsey. So I think we've got to be a little bit patient. They're working on some ball movement stuff, so maybe that opens them up a little bit more the other way. To get some offensive gains, you've got to give up something. So they've given up a bit of their defence, and maybe they're still evolving. So I think we're going to be quick to judge. We can only judge what we see. But they were smashed in tight last night.
Yeah, absolutely. Smashed clearance, anything to do with contest, smashed at ground ball, plus 21, smashed in tackles, plus 30. And you wonder when you see them like that last night, so what's their real weapon? Like, if Petrarca isn't streaming inside forward 50 and being that damaging threat forward of centre, what is it? Is there any weapon off half-back that you're worried about? Rivers is really good, solid player. McVie the same, but when he's doing a job, you lose that drive. We know Lever and May are there and their weapons and gone, but do they have as many X-factor players? Like, you look at what Brisbane have done and you can sort of rattle off 5 or 6 X-factor players capable of ripping that game away from you. Just not sure you see that with Melbourne, as much as a lot of their players like Windsor and Sparrow and Rivers have improved. Chandler's another one. They've all improved, but Do they have enough A graders to go where they need to go?
They have A grade. I mean, I think we're going too far too early. They all had a bad night
talk
at the same
to me.
time.
Talk to me about their genuine A graders. So Petrarca, Oliver's not an A grader at the moment. He's going awfully.
No, he's been pretty good. I think
last 2 weeks have been awful, and he's not clearly. And whether it's the finger and the glove and the dislocation, the preparo, whatever it is, he's not anywhere near the player that he's been.
He's been a
I understand.
top five player in our
that.
comp for 5 years.
Any of his possessions last night, did any of them worry you?
No, he had an off night last night, so I agree with you on that. I think Gawn's a top liner.
Yep.
Viney's having a very, very good season. Petrarca had a poor performance last night, but he's been exceptional.
Give you those.
So there's three of them.
And Fritsch, I'll give you.
Neil Bullen.
Yeah.
He'd be in your All-Australian team if you had a meeting tomorrow.
He'd probably be in the squad, yep.
I think McVee's been terrific. I don't think there's been an issue with him. I think May and Lever. Where's the problem there?
No problem there. But I don't think Viney is a player capable of ripping it away from you. I don't think McVee is going to rip it away. I don't think Neil Bullen is going to rip it away from you.
But he has. I watched you talk about Neil Bullen in the last couple of weeks.
That's against the likes of Adelaide, who are a poor side. He's great. He's great against Port Adelaide. It's the best game I've seen him play. But when you're putting him up against Cameron, when you're putting him up against McCluggage, what Rayner did last night, what Zorko can do, what Neil can do, what Harris Andrew, what Dunkley did last night. So I'm just posing the question: Do they have enough threats?
I think they got some more credits than that.
Yep.
I think we just have to sometimes say, okay, is that performance an aberration? I think it is. I think they've been one of the most consistent teams across the last 5 years. They went out in straight sets by some heartbreaking opportunities in front of goal, really. But let's talk about the winners for a moment, Cornsey. Is that the best game you've seen Cam Rayner play?
Yeah, well, I've got him written down. So this guy's really frustrated me for a while because of that reason last night. Like, what could they be if he can produce that every couple of weeks this year? Now, it's not going to be every week. He plays a difficult position and he's not quite there yet as a Christian Petrarca consistent player, but he has all those attributes to do that. I mean, 10 inside 50s, his clearance work, he had 9, 6 of them in about the first 15 minutes last night. If he can be the one that comes up to stoppage, like the goalie has done, like many others have done that we continually speak about, what could it mean for Brisbane?
Yeah. He's one of my boys. He's one of the tackle breakers. He's right up there over the last couple of years. So that sort of frame, that sort of strength. Power coming out of clearance, they just have maximum damage. So when you've got Rayner playing, even if he's 70% of that going forward on a consistent basis, if you've got Neil, McCluggage is always high damage, and Rayner, things change pretty quick.
And Dunkley as well, like just as for the balance, for the balance of the midfield. And then I don't know what they're going to get from Ashcroft coming back in, but he's certainly going to help. It's looking a lot better now. As I said, the next 2 weeks are really difficult. Geelong and Jeddah West. We're going to find out a bit more about where they sit against those two sides as well. But
they've always had this talent, Corns. This is what I keep coming back to. What was different about last night, and what was different about last night was the tactical nous of Fagan in his coach's box. So it's not all Chris. Let's spread the load. Let's spread the love. That coach's box, which I think has never been wrapped in its life. I can't remember one person saying, "Hey, great coaching performance,
well
Chris
done,
Fagan."
Mark Stone and the crew.
Any of them?
No, but you're right.
Stone's not even there.
Well, they've been
that's my point.
Unheralded for a long time, but they had a group that had been together for a long time. They've lost a couple of those in the off season last year, but you're right. I reckon they looked at the Adelaide game. We were lucky enough to speak to Zorko prior to the game, just from the boundary line of the MCG, about an hour and 40 minutes before the game. And I said, did you have a look at what Adelaide did last week? They were boring. They were slow. What are you going to do? He said, well, we just have to take them. We just have to take them on. We have to. And he knew something that we didn't, just with their ability to take those 130 uncontested marks that you speak of. So, yeah, you're right, though. I heard you speak about it last night. Chris Fagan gets smashed when they lose games for those reasons, and one of those games was against Melbourne after they had a big lead last year and they didn't defend it well enough. So let's pump him up. And he was pretty calm as well when they were 0-3, which I thought was important. He said, look, we're not going as bad as what you think we are going.
Oh no, he was lying to us.
I
there. I'm
know,
not
but
giving him
he
credit
was
for that.
calm though. But he was calm because you can't panic for your players. Like you're the guy. You've got to look like you're in control. And I thought he looked like he was in control, and I thought he instilled some belief into the group, even though they were going pretty poorly. But they had a huge lead against the Blues and lost by a point. They went to Fremantle. I'm not sure how many teams are going to win in Perth against Freo this year. So that, and then the Collingwood game perhaps turned a bit of a corner for them. But I thought his attitude and his demeanour, it was pretty calm.
One of my pet hates is when you smash them with ruck work, with hit out work, and it has no influence on clearance. I'm not a midfielder, was never a midfielder, and I don't understand the science of tap work to clearance, right?
Yep.
I think it's one of the greatest myths in our game, right? That you can win the hit outs, what was it, 47-22, and you can lose first possession and you can get smashed at clearance. That's a three-quarter time. They were minus 15 at clearance, Melbourne.
Yep.
Yet they were plus 25 hit outs. So that you've got a guy who can direct the ball where you want it to go, yet you lose it. I have real trouble understanding how those two don't come together.
Well, it's another credit to Brisbane's midfield to be able to just pick them off like that. I mean, every midfielder wants a dominant ruckman. You'll speak about it. We've seen what even Soldo has done for Port Adelaide after they haven't had a ruckman. He's been important for them. But you're right, they got Gawn 51 hit-outs to 26 against McInerney, and they got smashed. That is a frustration. But once again, credit to the stoppage work from the Lions, the way that they scouted this, and the way that they can win clearance off the back of that. And it does beg the question whether ruckmen are overrated, which we've said for a while. I don't think Gawn's overrated because of the stuff he does around the ground as well. But genuine tap ruckman, you just would never pay big money for rucks.
No.
I wouldn't anyway.
So the Cameron role, I don't want to see Charlie on the goal square again. I don't. I just don't. I think it works better when you've got your tools down there, because what it did do, it meant that Lever and May one of them had to come out of the goal square. So they lose that 360-degree intercept capability, and they're gettable on a fast lead. That dropping, dipping ball that comes from a clearance, the forwards always react first to that.
Yeah, Hipwood got one in the first quarter.
They got about 4 in the first half. A meter's just too much, and there's not much you can do as a defender. You can be the best we've ever seen. You really can't recover from that position. But if that's Charlie Cameron in the goal square, and May and Lever are 30 or 40 from goal, they can fall back onto that footy. That Charlie's still going to have impact. Charlie had 10 score involvements last night. He was the number one score involvement player on the field, playing a role that he hadn't played for months. Well, not months, for 30 games.
So finally got his teeth sorted after Chris Fagan said that's been a huge issue for him.
Was it fang-related?
Fang-related. He got his teeth knocked out. Apparently there's been all sorts of drama for him in the off-season, but looked like he had those sorted. What about when he just mocked Jake Lever? Just took a mark. And
I love that.
99.9% of players go back and have a shot, and he's just gone, nah, I'm going to make a certainty of this. It's going to be a foot race. And poor old Jake Lever. You ever been in that position? You were quite fast, but as a player...
I chased your brother like that one time.
You did. It is embarrassing. And he just ran into the goal square and slotted it through.
Yeah, the funniest part of that is it took Eric Hipwood 6 steps to realise he's not giving the handball here.
Well, didn't Eric start well? And then he didn't touch the footy in the second half. So there's still some improvement for the Lions. Don't worry about that. Did Adelaide dodge a bullet by not securing Harrison Petty, Kingy?
Oh, really?
Wow! Did you see what
Did
you see what they were offering up for Petty? Now I'm led to believe it was 2 first-round draft picks.
Well, it's 2 first-round draft
So-
picks. Don't give me this led to believe.
So would they go after seeing, and granted he's had a disrupted preseason and all of that, and he was okay last week, but after seeing him in action recently, do you think that offer should be off the table? There's no way I'm giving 2 first-round picks with where Adelaide are at and their desperate need to bring in fresh talent to that squad, that I'm giving up 2 first-round draft picks for a player like Harrison Petty.
The amount of players that I would give up 2 first-round draft picks for would be, I would say, 1 in every 5 years.
So we agree.
So Jeremy Cameron would be the only one of the current batch that I would have ever given up 2 first-round draft picks or more for.
So the ones that have left, would you have?
There's the Treloar and...
What about Horn Francis? You definitely would give up 2
No, I
for
wouldn't
him.
have given up 2.
Oh,
No.
come on.
A midfielder,
Come on.
Well, you just get another one. You just go and get Georgie Wardlaw.
I'm not sure there's many running around doing what he's doing.
You'd give up 2 for him, would you?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
I would.
I wouldn't, not for a midfielder. I think that you can still find, they may not be 9.8 out of 10. They might be.
What about Errol Goulden?
9 out of 10.
Would you have given up 2 for Errol Goulden?
No, I don't think you do. I don't think that helps your list build. I don't think it does. In the long run, tell me a team that's done it and got through it well.
I'll have to have a think about that. But what we are agreeing on is after Petty doesn't touch the footy for 3 quarters, and I'm not sure he's a forward. I'm not sure. I think he's a better defender, clearly, but they have a need for him to play forward. Adelaide sitting back, and Justin Reid, I'm going, geez, we've made some errors with our list management. I don't think it's wise to go back to the well and try and give 2 first-round draft picks for.
I like my
Morris and
recruiters
Petty.
to attach themselves to decisions too. Hey, if this one doesn't work, right, I'm going to sell the farm on this one. I'm giving away 2 first-rounders for Petty. And you know what? If it doesn't work,
It's on
in
me.
3 years' time, I will walk.
Well, it's the most secure job in football. Recruiters just, they stick around and they stick around. No one works out if they've made a good call until 10 years down the track. No, he'll come good.
Well, I feel sorry for our man at the Saints, Chris Tocci. He got flicked, and the first 4 picks of last year's draft, they're all playing for the Saints. Round 6, round 5.
Kingy, who you got in the gun this week?
I'll tell you who I've got in the gun this week, and I'll tell you why I've got them in the gun. I've got the guys that should be doing the heavy lifting at footy clubs at 25 years plus, 25 years of age plus. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at, I watched the West Coast last week, and I take my hat off to Mitch McGovern and Cripps and Yo and Kelly and Duggan, even though he didn't use the ball great.
Yep.
Hunt and Barras, they gave everything last week to get their team over the line. Wasn't to be, but gee, they gave a good account of themselves in the first half and scared the Sydney Swans. So I'm looking at the Adelaide Crows and the North Melbourne 25 pluses, guys like Walker, Smith, Laird, something please, Rory. Crouch has been pretty good.
Yeah.
O'Brien can find a yard. Keys can do more. Dawson can definitely lead better and do more. Hinge, those sorts of guys. Got to do the heavy lifting.
Yep.
The Kangaroos at the moment are operating off the back of the kids. Mm-hmm. It's the time for the guys that were recruited to the footy club to do something. Greenwood, Core, Tucker,
McDonald.
those guys. Well, McDonald's in there. He's 30 years of age. Simpkin, Larky's going just okay, but they need more than just okay. Fisher. So these are the sort of guys I'm talking about. If you're 25 plus at a football club at the moment, hey, she's shouldered to the wheel.
All right, in the gun for me, and I like that as well. If you've got someone you want to put in the gun, let us know, 0433 98 11 16. I'm just looking at Darcy Parish, who's 3rd game back, and I watched Libba last week against Geelong single-handedly almost keep his team in that game. The tenacity that guy played with was extraordinary, and he's done it for a long time. And then I'm watching Darcy Parish just run around, collecting touches, but not inflicting damage. And so I thought I'll look up Darcy. What's his goal count? I mean, the best midfielders are the ones that are actually doing the damage, either leading to scores or putting that on the scoreboard themselves. 2022, he kicked 3 goals. Last year, he kicked 3 goals. This year hasn't kicked a goal. So can he get forward and start inflicting some damage rather than running around getting 6 kicks and 15 handballs like he did against Port Adelaide last week? He looks like he's plodding to me. I don't know why he's got his socks up, but it's made him look slower. And I'm not seeing any of the 6-year contract that he's been rewarded with on big money. So Darcy Parish, your captain is leading the way. Zach Merritt's been extraordinary. I think the responsibility is on you tonight to go up against Libba and Bont and the work that they're doing and go, okay, I'm actually going to have a meaningful influence on this game. So he is in the gun.